The Western Star 6900 TwinSteer is one of SnowRunner's weirder trucks. These are all the pros and cons, plus what makes it special. And don't worry, no Don 71s were harmed in the making of this video. Except one. One of the reasons articulated vehicles became a thing, according to my 12 seconds on Wikipedia, is because it allows you to turn more sharply than if you had a rigid structure. I mean, the word articulated comes from the Latin articulus, which means small joint. No, not that kind. So that's why so many big trucks in SnowRunner have a trailer connection or, in the case of the Caterpillar 745C, front and rear wheels separated by some hydraulically operated metal. But not the sexily named Western Star 6900 TwinSteer, which features 4 wheels for steering, hence the TwinSteer bit, and a flatbed that's so long you could land a plane on it. Actually then, this truck's turning circle will be your greatest nightmare. It's not just turning that can be a challenge either. The sheer distance between the front and rear wheels make going forward and backward a problem too, because it's quite possible to be nearly home and about to put the kettle on while the rear wheels are wedged on a tree stump. Not only that, it has a long snout that likes to stick its nose where it doesn't belong and stay there. Never is the canyon crossing in my container delivery test as scary as it is with this 8-wheeled monster. Honestly, it's worse than the ANK. There's also the small matter of no all-wheel drive. Instead, you can only engage the diff lock, which does help with mud and snow if it's particularly muddy or slushy, but this is by no means the truck you want to go scouting in, not that its size lets you anyway. You cannot even hook a trailer up to it, which makes sense because it would be miles out of view anyway. Oh, and it will try to fall apart on tarmac if you drive at speed, and the front end is prone to clipping trees. So far, so awful. So should I throw it into the sea then? Nah. Despite having few upgrades, what it can have is decent. There are 3 engines, the V16 M2450 being the best of them. Plus it can be raised for better ground clearance, which surprised me. It also has the option of 63-inch tires, which are massive. Nearly the biggest in game actually. And even the smallest size is 55 inches. As for a snorkel, the TwinSteer likes things in pairs, so it gets a snorkel on either side, which seems impractical, but there you go. Plus there are some, but not loads of aesthetic upgrades, including the cool Western Star horns. One random thing I noticed is that the spare wheel wants to hide so much you can't actually see it when upgrading unless you move the camera down. Not that spare wheels are that useful, as blown tyres are rare in SnowRunner, at least for me anyway. Here at ATribeCalledCars though, it is my responsibility to find the positives of whatever I'm talking about, if there are any. Fortunately for the Western Star 6900 TwinSteer, there are a fair few. Although it is unclear how accurate SnowRunner's portrayal of the real truck is, especially for someone like me who really only knows about cars, it does feel like you have the 2,000 odd foot-pounds of torque under your foot. Man, this thing really goes. Slap it into the high gear with the Highrange gearbox and you are suddenly moving scarily fast. In fact, I've managed well under 4 minutes to run the container delivery mission, and that's despite the perilous and time-consuming task of getting across the valley. And when it is going, absolutely nothing can stop it, as I shall now show you with my new game, Don and Dan Bowling. There's definitely a brute force approach with the TwinSteer that's satisfying, yet sometimes you need to treat it with surgery levels of precision, and that's satisfying too. And just when you think it's stuck, that beefy engine can prove you wrong, and so continues your journey. I also like the fact that having no tree Oh my god, come on then. You need to stop drinking before 3 PM. I also like the fact that having no trailer means no leaving trailers around the place, or having to reverse with a trailer, which can be tedious or lead to falling over if impatient. Or so I've heard. I'd never do that, obviously. In fact, you can ferry around 4 slots of cargo with blissful ease, providing, of course, you avoid thin trails and sharp turns, or too many sharp ups and downs. Okay, so I'm being a little hyperbolic, because the reality is that I took the TwinSteer to all 3 regions, and except for thin windy trails and tight rocky impasses, it got the job done. For being the size of a small planet, the TwinSteer isn't even bad on fuel once it's up to speed, and the 360 litre capacity is decent. I always top it up just in case, because being stranded isn't fun, but most of the time it will go a long way, unless you get stuck a lot and try to brute force your way out. Now I can envision many of you in the comments telling me this truck is terrible and I should use the Azov 64131, which absolutely nobody mentions in my comments all the time. Then the Western Star 6900 TwinSteer is free unless you count the time and effort needed to rescue it from the island lake of Michigan, because it needs to be both repaired and refueled. If, like me, you haven't repaired all bridges, it can be time consuming. Luckily, a powerful truck like the Tega 6436 or Veron AE 4380, go watch my videos, or similar, will be able to drag it out of the swamp and down to the tunnel back to Smithfield Dam. I'd then drag it as close to the garage as possible and send out a truck with the van add-on and a fuel trailer behind, and voila, it's yours. As for vital upgrades, the aforementioned best engine lives in Pedro Bay of Alaska. Raised suspension, meanwhile, can be found in White Valley. I'd also head to Drummond Island for the off-road transmission and Mountain River for the high-range alternative. As usual, MapRunner.Info has all the locations, so go check that out. So, the verdict. Other trucks can get the job done more effectively, yes. But if we only played SnowRunner with maximum efficiency in mind, I'd probably use the Azov 64131 and then fall asleep at the wheel. To write the TwinSteer off as bad is a mistake though, because it's actually one of the more effective options. Basically, if you want a unique experience with unique challenges, then step this way. The Western Star 6900 TwinSteer is as enjoyable as that slightly weird twin fancy. Oh yeah, this is a family channel. It's SnowRunner's guilty pleasure that you find yourself wanting time and time again. And that, as I like to say, is the end of another SnowRunner video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment and share as you normally would. I'd love to reach 10,000 subscribers, as I honestly never thought I would. It's really surreal, to be honest. Anyway, let me know what trucks you would like to see next and why. And now we come to the best recent YouTube comments. That was a lovely song, wasn't it? The first one is from Sir Calder. I haven't watched yet, but I'm calling it now. Khan Loaf equals best scout. I hate to break it to you, but it's certainly the coolest looking, and it is fun, and everyone was really surprised that it managed to get through the submarine test. I was quite surprised as well. It's a cool scout, but I wouldn't say it's the most effective. It will be getting a video before you ask, as a lot of you guys seem to love the loaf. DavTop Gaming said, you put a ton of work into these videos, thumbs up from me, thanks. No, thanks to you, DavTop Gaming. To be honest, there are a lot of ways I could have done the best scout truck showdown, but ultimately, the reason why I sped it up is because it would have been like a 2-hour video at normal speed. I gave them all around 30 seconds or so, unless it was the trailer challenge and going uphill, just to show how far things get in the time. It's not perfect. If there was some sort of distance measurement, speedometer, or something like that, then I could have been far more specific, but ultimately a side-by-side with various permutations is still a good way of showing how each scout works in each type of terrain. And then of course in part 2 there's a conclusion in order, hopefully the video was useful. I think a lot of you liked the music, and yeah, most of you seemed to enjoy it. Those that didn't, it's, I tried. Tried my best, so yeah. You'll never please everyone, but I did at least try to make it comprehensive, so. Oh, this comment made me laugh. I love how you yeet the truck with the fuel trailer down the hill and just recreate what 2020 is for everyone. That was on my advanced SnowRunner tips video. Yeah, it is a great analogy. Quite a few of you guys obviously watched to the end of one of my videos because I talked about someone who didn't like my jokes. But that's that's fine. Not everyone's gonna like them. But I don't want the videos to be really dry and boring. Like, I try to inject a little bit of dry sarcasm and generally British wit. So yeah, thanks to those who enjoy it. It's not gonna stop. So tough shit. Catherine Curtis said, I think the new Russia map might be Siberia. That's good. My response was, I was hoping Milton Keynes. I just think roundabouts. There aren't enough in SnowRunner. Yeah, devs, if you're listening, let's go with the Milton Keynes DLC. A lot of Americans are like, where the hell is Milton Keynes? That's a terrible American accent, sorry. Dino GTO said, the Tartarin can't pull the trailer itself, but, in capitals, it has no problem pulling the second truck that's carrying the trailer. This is true, but this is also true for a lot of trucks that can't pull trailers, but it means you then have to get a truck out to put something on the... Yeah, it just takes time. A lot of time, and by the time you've done all of this, you could be at the destination. So, yeah, there are times when just being able to winch is enough to complete a mission, but for the times it isn't, yeah, you're losing a lot of time. But if you really love using the truck, then yeah, why not? That's the thing with SnowRunner, it's a sort of sandboxy game. Do what you enjoy. Quite a few of you are very excited for mods on console. Richard Timoney. I need moods. I think he's actually spelled I need moods. Maybe he's just lacking emotion. Who knows? But no, I'm guessing he meant mods. I'm a robot. You say that? ... Yeah, I could be a robot. Who knows? Has anyone checked? Mustafa Al-Sayedi. I'm so sorry about that. Oh man, at least this is probably why I'm called Ben, because I can pronounce it. Yeah, he was saying that he enjoyed the video, which is nice, but also English videos are good for me because I'm playing SnowRunner and I learn English more whenever I watch an English YouTuber. It's actually really cool. A lot of non-English speakers use films and, well, now YouTube these days, and cartoons especially, because if you're really new to a language, cartoons, it's obviously simplified, so you can learn really fast that way. And he said, now I understand about 80% of what you say in your videos. The last 20 you don't really need. It's just bad jokes. And a lot of you complaining about lost trucks. Yeah, that sucks. Thingboy said 2 vids in 1 day is amazing. Great job on Scout Showdown, looking extra thick. With 2 C's. Thanks, Thingboy. I'll be honest, the news ones are relatively fast to make and a lot of you guys seem to enjoy them, but yeah, generally I'm not going to be able to do 2 in 1 day, unfortunately. The editing and writing takes a little bit of time. More loaf love from Hot Chucky. Omar6345 said, give me a like, this is a threat, please. At least he was threatening in a polite way, so that's nice. And then he replied to me, if you don't give me a like, I will do the big sad and the big mad. I mean, I've already replied to you, so, you know, so you've got some love, okay? I hope you're happy. And finally, I mean, I get so many great comments, so I might actually do a separate video, because I think it's funny and I can have a bit of a joke with you guys. If you think that's a cool idea, let me know, if you made it this far. Final comment from Eli Coates said, not Desert Runner, Sand Runner. Yes, that is correct. And then Ian Price responded, yeah, but there will be 1 map for sand and everywhere else will be mud. Yeah, that is so true. There's just so little snow in SnowRunner, but then there are maps coming which are wintry, so yeah, maybe this joke is going to die. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye.